You're not broken. You're just running the wrong script. Your intention and attention are curating the reality before you. What that means is that you have control over your reality. That is the only thing that there is intention and attention and perceived reality. This is known as conscious realism, and modern physics is slowly coming around to this idea that has been taught in the East for thousands upon thousands of years, that not even something like space-time is fundamental to the nature of reality. It's all about what we focus on and what we pay attention to. That creates everything. And so if you are looking to evolve in your own life, if you are looking to overcome challenges, restraints, and setbacks, you need to learn to focus your intention and attention properly. You need to become the reality you wish to inhabit. In order to do this, you'll need some tooling. And I have here a framework for you. I will walk you through how to set an intention, what to look out for in terms of what kind of an intention to set, and then how to execute on that set intention in order to become the next best version of your own self and slowly come and progress and evolve into your ultimate form. So if that does not interest you, if you like it how you are and you don't want to change, grow, or evolve, just shut this off right now. It'll be a waste of your time. If you are interested in new challenges, new experiences, and new identities throughout the remainder of your life, then stay with us. It'll take about 20 or 30 minutes and we'll get going right now. All right, this is titled Becoming You, okay? You are constantly becoming yourself. You are constantly becoming a more refined and finalized metaphysical version of yourself. That, in my belief system, that is the purpose and the point of life. This limited section of existence, this life you currently inhabit, your truest purpose is to overcome and become as much as you possibly can in this limited time window, so that whether you come back again later or whether whatever happens next after you die, there's less work to go back and fix. Okay? So I want to become the best version of myself all the time, every single day. And I'm thinking if you're on this channel, you probably do too. So this is going to be an excellent tool belt mechanism for you to be able to actually apply some of that framing and some of that framework, and actually get a methodology in order to, hey, how do I identify what exactly I'm wanting to change, how exactly I am going to do that, and who I'm going to become to be able to create, to become the creator in your own universe, to be able to create the new version of you every single moment, every single day. And in the end, you'll look back and you'll be proud. So this is the art of intentional evolution. And it is how you can become the person your hardest moments are asking you to be. Because you are not challenged because life sucks. You are challenged because you are being called to a higher standard of existence by an invisible metaphysical force that is running the undercurrent of your life. You are being called forward, and we perceive it in our human minds as challenge, as resistance, as struggle. It is not struggle, it is opportunity. Now, this whole architecture I set up yesterday, and I had a few pretty lame templates, and I didn't want it to be the template, the cookie cutter type of content, so I decided to make it quite real. And I sat down with myself, and I made my own intention so that I can walk through this journey with you who choose to take this on. And it had to do with this story, which is a microcosm of the macrocosm that is the pattern I have been noticing in my own life, is that I don't always show up in a way that makes me proud primarily as a father. You know, I can get very frustrated very easily over little things. And this moment the other day just kind of exemplifies this macro pattern. My son is in one room. He's sitting on a chair trying to read a book. My daughter's standing in front of him, minding her own business, playing with a toy. He doesn't like how close she's standing to him, so he kicks her in the face. She starts crying. I come in. I say, what's going on here? He says nothing. Okay, we have aggression. I watched him kick her in the face. We have obvious aggression. Now we have lying and manipulation. And I'm getting some serious paternal instincts to protect my daughter. So this pattern is rising up in me, and I hadn't set any intention yet, so the script just played out. I looked at him and I said, don't kick your sister in the face. And he looked me dead in the eyes and he kicked her in the face again. So what did I do? My script had me come across the room. I grabbed him, I picked him up, hauled him out of the room, threw him in his room. And on the way there, I realized the script was playing. Okay? I came at him a little too fast. I grabbed him up a little too quickly, and he got pretty scared, and I could see it in his eyes. So when I exited his room, I just sat with that feeling, the look of fear in a child's eyes. A child that it is my duty to protect and steward. And that devastated me. So that is something that I don't want in my future. I don't want in my present. So I'm going to change it. Okay? That moment cost me something. It probably cost him something. And it's okay. We're all imperfect. I'm going to evolve for both myself and for him and for my daughter, my wife, for everybody. But the question is, how do I do that? I just had an automated script play that 3/4 of the way through it running, I've already done all of the damage. I've already instilled fear in him. I'm like, oh, this isn't me. This is some type of automated program. Okay, some things I've tried, none of which worked, obviously. Wake up earlier. Don't be awake when they are. This handles the front end of the day. When a lot of times I'll wake up and the first thing I hear in my conscious experience is screaming, crying, defiance, and it just sets the tone for the whole day, and the whole day it just goes rough. The other element is to wear headphones. I'm an extremely sound sensitive individual. I'm very introverted. I like to recharge in silence and solitude, and I don't get anything close to silence and solitude in my life right now. So I'll throw on headphones and block out the noise. Doesn't mean I ignore them, but if I don't have to listen to the sounds, the shrieking, the shrilling, the complaining, the defiance, I can be a lot more level. So don't hear it. I'm avoiding the sound. Wake up earlier. I'm avoiding the occurrence happening right as I wake up. Work more. Just stay away. Is there some project that's going to take a little bit longer? Do I have an opportunity to stay a little bit late at work and come home just a little bit after bedtime or right around the time after all the chaos has gone on? That was a solution that I have exercised at times. And then I have to make it up to them because I'm always hot and cold. I wake up some mornings, there's crying, I'm dysregulated through the whole day. And then the next day, if I wake up and I'm regulated and things are going well, I have to go above and beyond in order to make up for the crappy dad I felt like I was yesterday. None of this worked. It's all avoidance techniques. Okay, wake up earlier, avoid the experience. Wear headphones, avoid the frustrating noise. Work more, avoid the whole situation. Okay? Make it up to them is kind of a patchwork that also doesn't feel great. Because if my awesome day goes a little bit sideways, I feel like there's a debt there. I don't want a debt, I just want steady upward progress. The reason why none of it works is that it's targeting the symptoms, not the cause. This is a lot of my issue with allopathic medicine. I go in, hey doc, I have back pain. I've had it for a long time. He says, oh, well, let's fix that pain. And he gives me a pill or something that addresses the back. Works for a while, stops working, stop taking the pill, whatever it is, and the pain is still there. So I start exploring more holistically possible solutions. And I find out, oh, I have a posture problem. The left side of my back is picking up the majority of my body's weight, therefore it hurts. I just fix my posture and my back pain disappears. Right? It's it's pointless to address the symptoms without fully understanding the root cause. If the cause and the symptom are identical or extremely closely correlated, sure, but typically they're not. This is downstream effects at work, okay? Systemic thinking. So how am I going to fix this? I'm going to use the intention setting framework. It comes in a quadrant: history, future, opportunity, intention. History, we're trying to answer the question of what is the pattern. I, the other day, identified a pattern. I don't like how I feel when these things are going on. Crying children, defiant children. I don't like how I show up when I get triggered in those moments. Now, I need to identify the future. Who do I want to become? Who am I becoming? Okay, let's use active language here. Who am I becoming right now? Who is the next best version of myself? That does not mean the best version of myself, the next best. There is an infinite iteration of best selves that you can evolve into. I need to identify the opportunities. We've identified morning times, we've identified evening times, and I've identified a couple more along the way. That is the moments, the opportunity is the moments that I am most likely to become dysregulated or triggered, or that this pattern is likely to play out. And this brings us down into the actual intention, which is the declaration of transformation. Now, we'll walk through filling these out, but just know I'm going to fill them out in order: history, future, opportunity, intention. And if you have this on a whiteboard or a paper and just draw a cross, right, HX, FX, OX, IX, you do not need to fill them out in that order. You might not have a pattern that is coming up for you, but you might want to become somebody new, somebody different, somebody better. You might start in future. You might not even get the whole block, the whole quadrant filled out. Fill out as much as you can in any of the 4 quadrants, and that filled piece or portion will begin to inform pieces and portions of the other quadrants. Okay, and then you just go back and forth until you have something full and complete. So let's start with the history. The pattern at the high level: dysregulation at a crying or defiant child. But what does that mean? Dysregulation, I'm going to break it down a little bit. I'm going to get specific so that I'm addressing a specific pattern and I know specifically what I need to fix, change, tweak, etc. What this actually looks like when I sit down with it is my children take on an energy of an enemy. I begin to see them as actively defying me, as resenting me, as disrespecting me. These are all stories I've fabricated in my head, but that's how that script looks upon those beings. Now, this creates bottled aggression in me and a lack of empathy. So we have this very specific, very raw, very accurate description of kind of what now I mean by dysregulation at a crying or defiant child. So the future, who do I want to be? You see how this fills itself in? Dysregulation at a child, regulation at a child. Obvious. But what does that mean? The person I am becoming is a person who views the child always as divinity. I am becoming someone who peace emanates from me. It overflows. It forces itself. That peace forces itself upon all those within my sphere. I have a setting aside of self. My children do not have online prefrontal cortexes yet. It is literally impossible to reason with them. They have very few emotional regulation tools. I have all the regulation tools. I have an online prefrontal cortex. I just have bad patterns and scripts from a life that has been rough at times. And so I want to be, and I am becoming, somebody who is setting myself aside in light of who I am dealing with. And this doesn't necessarily need to be children, right? There are all kinds of adults walking around out there with programs running as if they are a small child, with prefrontal cortexes who are still running programs of impulse control issues, of dysregulation issues. And this comes out in all sorts of different ways. But for me, in my situation, it just has to do with these children right now. And I'm becoming somebody who is making those children the center of attention in this moment, who is treating them, see how these are connected, treating them as divine. Right? The setting aside of self, the selflessness, the overcoming, being the steward. So, opportunities. Morning, waking up to chaos. Evening, erratic kids, depletion, war as a bedtime, or bedtime as a war. These are not problems. God does not give you problems. God gives you opportunities. Opportunities to become better, opportunities to evolve. Problems is an incorrect perspective on a otherwise neutral occurrence. And off days, right? I'm under the weather. They're super emotional for some reason. Everything's compounding and snowballing all through the day. It just gets worse and worse and worse. So now opportunities, these are the things I'm looking out for. When I'm going to bed at night, I know when I wake up, it will be the morning, and it's possible that this could be a triggering opportunity. So I need to prepare to execute my intention in the morning. If I'm coming home from work and it's around bedtime, supper time, that sort of thing, I know that's coming up. That's an opportunity in my list. That means that I can prepare to step into who I am becoming, not who I have been. Which brings us to the intention. Okay, I use this format. I strongly advise this format or something very close. You can get pretty loose with it, but intentions are not goals. Okay, intentions are a declaration of transformation and a state of becoming. Right, a goal is some type of a milestone. It's very different, and I can tease that out in another video. So when I will so that. When I'm identifying the pattern and what I'm changing, I will, and I am identifying the behaviors and perspectives of the new version of myself. So that comes in to tie it back to the why. If I am about to become dysregulated and I am trying to remember this intention, I'm trying to activate this intention, my dysregulated system is going to throw that out the window. It's going to get the F-its, okay? I need a so that to remind myself, if I do this, then my children will grow in an environment where regulation is modeled to them, and they will grow up to be more regulated themselves. So when I experience a crying or defiant child, notice here I did not say when I am feeling dysregulated due to the crying or defiant child, because there's a gap there. I don't become dysregulated in the exact same moment as the crying starts. Sometimes it builds up pretty quickly, but it usually takes a few seconds. And that few seconds is your window of opportunity. So I'm not trying to identify the dysregulation because the script has already started at that point. I'm trying to identify the trigger, the opportunity, and when I see that opportunity, I immediately put this in place. Okay, this old pattern, this old program that is running in me, in you, in everybody, this old program is running on essentially a scheduled task inside the system of the human computer. Now, when we write these new programs or these new scripts, we can write a line of code into them. Essentially what we're doing is we're writing something in that says reject what's going on over there that's trying to run automatically and do this instead. But in order to do that, we have an icon on our desktop with this intention. It is not fed deep into the system yet. That's what the practice is for. So we are essentially double-clicking that desktop icon to execute this program before the other program gets away on us. Okay, we need to be quick. We need to be ahead of the game. We need to be always on the observation and always on the move, always looking out for those opportunities and executing on this intention ahead of time in that window of opportunity. So I will take one deep breath, then cheerfully ask what I can do to help them. Okay. notice that my goal is to become selfless, but I acknowledge that I cannot just completely reject myself. That's also unhealthy. So I'm going to take one single moment to focus on myself, and then I'm going to set myself to the side in order to focus on the child. And I am going to cheerfully ask what I can do to help them. They probably aren't going to know. It's not about actually changing what's going on in the environment. It's about changing the attitude with which we approach the situation, and about programming a different frequency of energy, okay, at a deep metaphysical level. So notice I put cheerfully, because I can ask what I can do to help them resentfully, and that's not programming the proper metaphysical frequency. I need to put that explicitly cheerfully. And another component is I am going to ask what I can do to help them, because that is an outward expression. When I am working with clients and I am setting intentions with them, I always want the I will to be something that if I was sitting across the room and watched them encounter an opportunity in their list, I should be able to tell from across the room whether or not they are activating and practicing that intention. You can get into a lot of I wills, and if you're doing this on your own, that is completely fine. Just be aware that if you start doing things in your mind, such as when I experience this, I will remind myself that they don't have a prefrontal cortex and they're unable to regulate, and so that I should love them. That's a whole mental process. The problem is that your old program runs in your mental space. The only way that you can interrupt that is by activating a stronger force. Okay? A stronger force is going to be the outward expression of environment, actually vocalizing. You can't have stray automatically programmed thoughts while you're speaking or while you're talking. And so I'm going to take one deep breath, then cheerfully ask what I can do to help them, so that my children grow in an environment where regulation is modeled to them. I hope that makes sense. There's a lot to unpack there. There's few pieces with a lot of sub-pieces and a lot of nuance. If you're confused, feel free to reach out or in the comments or through the contact form on the website. I'll get you that at the end. The mantra. All of this, we were just talking about how small the window of opportunity is. This is why we have the mantra. The mantra takes the whole thing and it makes it so simple, it's hard to forget it. It will become like an earworm. This was mine. As above, so below. Be at peace so they can grow. Now, this incorporates everything here. It doesn't excuse me from doing the work of all of this. This, going back to the desktop icon analogy, this is a simple, quick click on the desktop. When you have it in this format, it's more like a storage file that you've saved in a triple subfolder in your Documents tab. You're not going to click it in time in order to interrupt in time the automatic program that is running, your historical program that is running. So this is the actual desktop icon, the super quick double click, as above, so below, be at peace so they can grow. Okay, I like mine to rhyme. It helps me remember them. This does not need to this could be complete gibberish. It needs to make sense to no one except the intention setter. As long as it makes sense and as long as it effectively activates this deeper, longer program, this deeper, longer script, then it is effective. This part here, the actual intention, I should be able to walk into a room, look at this, what you've written on the paper, and it should make complete sense to me exactly where you are, where you're trying to go, and how you're going to get there. This, I would not be surprised if it made absolutely no sense to me. I'd have to ask you 20 questions sometimes to be able to pick out, like, how is this related to this? But that's not important. The only thing that is important is that this, for you, activates this. So the whole point here is to interrupt the automated script. Okay, the pattern that is running to its conclusion every single time, because that's what a program does. It runs top to bottom and it executes everything in between. What we need to do is have a new program, which will need to be for a while manually activated, that says, hey, reject that program that's beginning to run and run this instead. And over time, over practice, this will become coded into the subconscious, and you will look back and realize, oh man, I haven't done that for quite a long time. I haven't run that old program for quite a long time. So I am here on this journey with you guys. That's the whole lesson there. I'm on this journey with you guys. Like I said, I made this intention very specifically for me so that it could be real. We could walk this together. And I just want you to know that I wrote all this up. I formed this intention. I formed this architecture for the presentation yesterday at like 2 o'clock. At like 3 o'clock, I'm in my shop here. One of my kids comes outside. I hear the door open and I just hear screaming immediately. So what did I do? I took a deep breath as I repeated my mantra, as above, so below, be at peace so they can grow. And then I actually stopped what I was doing here. And I intentionally left the office and went out and said, hey, buddy, what can I do to help you? The conversation, honestly, it didn't go anywhere. And honestly, it wasn't technically, based on the dynamic that we have set up in the house. I have some dedicated office hours that I'm not expected to have walked out. But this was an opportunity. You remember, God gives you opportunities, and that was a very ironic timing for yesterday afternoon. So anytime you see an opportunity, it is very important to execute on this new script, because the more times you execute it, the more pushed out the old program becomes, and the closer to the new version of yourself you will be. So I'm taking every opportunity. I had 3 opportunities between that moment I just told you about and I guess when I went to bed last night. And I'm going to keep executing on this. I'm going to, by the time that you see me again on the channel here, I'm going to be a completely transformed individual in that domain of my life, and I will have moved on to a new intention. Now, this is something that I use a lot of guidance, mentorship, and coaching for myself. I have my own people, and this is something you can absolutely do by yourself. You don't need coaches. You don't need mentors. My ethos is never to withhold information from the business for business purposes. I'm not trying to lead you into something in order to get the rest of the information, but it is very important for me to let you know that this stuff is not as easy as it sounds. We can have a lot of blind spots in our life, and the purpose of a coach, the purpose of a mentor, is to identify known unknowns. Crap that you are doing right now every single day that is lowering your quality of life and that you are completely oblivious to. And then to help keep accountability and walk you through the step-by-step process. So, as I said, you have all the information. It's all contained in here. You're welcome to apply it yourself. Or you could choose to have that evolution facilitated. If you do choose that, you can head over to the website. You can click on one of the 2 buttons at the top. It just says apply for 1v1 coaching, and I'd be very happy to hop on a call with you, totally free of charge. A little bit of discovery, meet and greet, and see if it would make sense to work together. So with that, I'll leave you to your evolution.